Thank you, Marla, and thanks everybody for attending today. Today is basically a catch-up. We've done some stuff before webinars on using Everyday Hero importing with Donman, and what we've done is broadened the scope of what we used to call the Everyday Hero Bridge and incorporated other peer-to-peer fundraising, and we intend to continue doing that. So at the moment, the peer-to-peer import programs consist of Go Fundraise, which is a new one that a lot of people have been after us to add, and Everyday Hero, and hopefully others will follow as we get demand for it. What I show you today, I'm going to be using the Go Fundraise import, but in fact it is very, very similar to Everyday Hero, but we've had to add things for Go Fundraise that we've also done to Everyday Hero, but there is a big difference in some of the issues with the Go Fundraise and Everyday Hero. The program works pretty well the same, but the differences I've pointed out here in those slides is Go Fundraise does not store Donman campaign codes. So if you sign up with Go Fundraise, you can't go in and say, look, I'm creating an event, and this event has the Donman campaign code of Xmas 92. You can do that with Everyday Hero, but however, only with the campaigns that you've initiated. So if you have an ad hoc campaign that someone else has set up, this problem has arisen anyway, and we've built this solution for Everyday Hero, and we've now had to generalize that with Go Fundraise, because in Go Fundraising you only have the campaign name. Now I'm going to show you a simple database here. This is an example of a Go Fundraise database, which, as I say, is almost the same as Everyday Hero. We've built it that way, and if you do use Go Fundraise, you can just log on there and get the Donman export. Now, what you'll see here, and where I'll put this on here, is there's the name, the address, and the salutation. And with peer-to-peer fundraising, as you know, there are two people involved. There's the person who gives money and the person who's the fundraiser. Now, in Everyday Hero, we call that the hero and the donor, but more generally, it's the fundraiser and the donor. So in Go Fundraise, we just say it's the fundraise. But we have the issue of how do we translate what we see on the screen as an event in Everyday Hero or in Go Fundraise back to a Donman campaign code. And what I'll be showing you today, part of what I'm showing you is the solution we have for that. So here we have the event name, and we've got In Celebration, Making a Difference, the Great Australian Bike Ride. It could be anything. It could be the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race. It could be whatever. The problem is those names are much too long to be used as a Donman campaign code, and there is no automatic translation. So what I'll do is I will take you through the Donman solution. So we're going to go now, and your screens will look like this from the next update. So if we go to donation processing and web donations, we now have new entries where we used to have the import EDH donation. We have import Go Fundraiser as a new option, and the edit campaign swap file. And I will talk about campaign swaps soon, and I'll show you how we use the campaign swap file. Just to put in a nutshell, the campaign swap file stores the correspondence between those longer event names in Everyday Hero and Go Fundraise and the Donman campaign codes. And that stops you having to type it in every time. Now, I'm going to import Go Fundraise, and I'm going to find, I've got a sample file that I'm going to use, which is Go Fundraise sample data. Now, your fundraising, when you get an Everyday Hero export is actually a CSV file, and the Everyday Hero import reads CSV file as it is. The Go Fundraising data is more likely going to come to you in a form of a spreadsheet like the one I've just shown you. What you'll have to do before you run the import is save it as a tab delimited file. So save that Go Fundraise file as a tab delimited file, and then simply load it into the import program as I've shown you there. Now, I'm going to cover, I've run this before, so it's warning me that I'm importing the same file again. It wants to make sure that you don't, by mistake, update the same file twice, so that it looks at that name and says, is that the same name as the one you ran last time? And if it is, it puts that error. But because I'm doing a test here, it's fine, I can do that. So now we've got donor type. It's for new donors. Now when we talk about donors in peer-to-peer import, we're talking about the people who give money, not the heroes or the fundraisers. So for new donor records, what shall the donor type be? Individual, what shall the source code be? What shall the mail code be? Do you want to create an extra code? If the address is incomplete, make the mail code, and I've got no mail. If receive newsletter is yes, make the mail code. Now, this is a slightly different field to what's in Everyday Hero, but in Go Fundraise, there is an option called receive newsletter. So with the option is there that if receive newsletter is yes, you can set what the mail code will be. If there is no name, address available, credit donation to donor number, and you can specify donor where there is no name or address. Do you want to import fundraisers as well as donors? I'm going to use the word fundraisers here, not hero, but in the Everyday Hero import, it will say, do you want to import heroes as well as donors? So I'm saying yes, and because I'm importing heroes, it asks me what code relates a donor to a fundraiser. And I've created a relationship code using the relationship codes in Donman, the same ones you use for brother, sister, husband, wife, etc. And I've created donor, and the opposite code is funder for fundraiser. I mean, it's up to you. And the description I've given for donor is a donor to peer-peer, and that makes the fundraiser of the donor. And again, I've got the donor type, source code, and mail code. But this time we're saying what are the defaults if we create a new donor record for the fundraiser. And then, do you want to make special provision for the processing of fees? Now, I'm saying yes, and we have two options. The first option is to create a fees donation, and that's quite a complicated option. It means you have a donation which is like a negative amount. And I would suggest you don't go with that unless it particularly appeals to you. I would suggest the simplest way is what I'm choosing here is campaign cost, so that the fees that are taken out of your donation by either Everyday Hero or Go Fundraise, and this includes their fees and the credit card fees, that all of those fees in total become a cost that's just put against the campaign, and all the costs for one day are amalgamated together for one cost code for each different cost code. And I've created a code called fees, and I'm saying use the fees as the cost code for those costs. And that means that when I run a campaign report and I get the results of the campaign and it says, yes, this particular fund run raised $20,000, I can see that, yes, there were costs against it of $1,000 in fees. So I know that my profit was $19,000. Okay, do you want to send thank you letters for these donations? I'm saying yes, I want to thank them. Make the donation coupon. This is if you have said yes that you want to run an item code or coupon code at the end of donation processing. There's the option of putting that there. If you don't do that, you can ignore that. It's going to create an error file and an activity log. In the case of Go Fundraising, it's gf.donman.error, gf.donman.log, and it will create a special selection file for every new donor that's created, and that will be Go Fundraising new donor.apl. And that means that you will have a selection file. So if you want to run or write a special letter just welcoming new donors, you've got, or looking at them, there's a way of flagging who are the new donors that have come through. And as with all the new programs in Donman, we have the ability to check interactively by email address and by surname and postcode. Now, I'm choosing in this particular run to look for duplicates by email address, but not for postcode and surname. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because so many records with peer-to-peer fundraising are there because a son becomes the event fundraiser, and maybe the father, the mother, and other relatives become the donors, sometimes living in the same house. So there are many, many false positives, many, many duplicates flagged, whereas because almost everybody who enters one of these type of events has an email address, email is a very unique and special way of deduping that rarely will do a false positive. So I'm going to dedupe by email, but you can do by both. So I've got my operator code, have you done a recent backup, and off I go. Now, What's happened here, and this is where the campaign SOP comes in, there are no Donman campaign codes stored with Go Fundraise. So it's saying I can enter a default for all campaigns with no data. So if I don't have a swap, I can say, look, just in general, I want to have the City to Surf is my default campaign code. But the most important option is the one here, and this is what I suggest you take. Or instead, do you want to be prompted for a campaign code for each different long campaign name read? Now, if we didn't have the campaign swap file, that would be painful because it would go to every record and read a name like the, Melbourne to Sydney run, and you would have to say that's really Melbourne Sid, 10 or whatever your campaign code would be for every record. But what the campaign swap file does is the very first time a record comes up with a new long name, it asks you for that campaign code, it stores it in the campaign swap file, and it doesn't ask you the next time. So that within a few minutes, you've actually got everything recorded, all your correspondences, and from then on, as long as you're running that same campaign, you'll never be bothered again, and it will correctly translate the long event name into your Donman campaign code when it imports. Now, the reason we have the ability to edit that is in case you make a mistake. If you suddenly realise, oh, the Sydney to Hobart or the Sydney to Melbourne run should not be SYD 45, it should be SYD 44, you can go and change that or edit the record. So I'm going to say yes to do it, and you'll see what happens when I now run the program. Here we are, it's popped up and said a donation was read that had no campaign code, but had a long campaign name of making a difference. What campaign do you want to do for these? And I will do the, let me just find, I'll do it a different one. And I'll say yes. Now, it's popped up a default. It's saying there's somebody with the same email address, and it's not, so I'm going to say cancel. And that one is the same, so I'm going to select same email address. And Timothy Chesney, yes, select him. Now, this is a sample file, so of course, some of these people have the same email addresses that shouldn't at all. But you'll notice that's finished and it has not prompted me for the long campaign name anymore. It's run through and it says, okay, I know what campaign code to use for those long names, and it's done them. And I've got some errors and things like that, but that's fine. This is sample data, and it's giving me a log that says all these donors were created and some names and addresses were changed because I've picked them as duplicates and it's updated them. So I now have my Go Fundraise data imported, and exactly the same procedure with Everyday Hero, except that in some cases your Everyday Hero data will have a donation code, a campaign code, so you won't need to do the campaign SOP. So let's look at the campaign SOP file now. And if we scroll through the campaign SOP file, we see City to Surf Fun Run 2010 is translated to City to Surf 2, making a difference. The one that I entered as we ran the program is CCTA S96, and that's it. So that was all the campaign names that we had through there that were imported. So basically that's how the import works, and we are planning, I think the next one may be Artes. If there's enough people using Artes, we will add them too. You'll notice if you do own the module, when you go into your system utilities, it no longer says Everyday Hero, it says peer-to-peer. So we've generalized it, so if you own the peer-to-peer module, or what was called the Everyday Hero module, you will have peer-to-peer now, and it will still say yes. Let me tell you that one of the things we're doing is we're making both programs available. So if you own the peer-to-peer module, you will get all the peer-to-peer programs. So that's Everyday Hero and Go Fundraise now. You only buy the module once, and as we add new programs to that, you'll get access to those programs. So if you need to use different platforms, hopefully we will have a solution for you, and that's included. So that actually was a fairly brief webinar today, but I think I've covered the basics of that import, and I think I'll open it up to questions. Thank you, Marla.
That was brief, Andrew. I'll just remind everyone if they do have any questions, they can log them in the question panel on the control panel, the question pane. No questions have been logged just yet, so maybe while we're just giving people a few moments to put their questions in, Andrew, did you want to just quickly go through how people can go about purchasing the module?
Yes, the peer-to-peer module is $850 and it's very simple. You just contact Val either by phone or vturner@advisol.com and you can organise to purchase the module, and once you have that you will be given both programs or the current version of both programs and you can use either one. From the next update you will see on your donation processing menu, you'll see the we'll be distributing the Go Fundraise program from the next update. I'm not sure when that will be, but I mean, if anybody needs it in advance, we will give it to you now.
I must have predicted that. 3 questions are asking how much the module was, so answered that in one hit. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's $850 to purchase XGSP.
Just another question from David, just asking if they can get a recording of today's webcast. We do record the webcasts and they're usually available within a week or so. It's a little bit of a delay, unfortunately, but we will let you know when they become available. And our previous webcasts are all available from the website, from the donman.net.au website. So that answers David's question. No other questions logged at the moment, so we might see if there's just any more questions? Oh, here we go. Question from Caitlin. If we already have the Everyday Hero import, do we need to pay more to get the Go Fundraise import too?
No, it's completely free. If you own the Everyday Hero, you've purchased the module. We've renamed the module, but you own the module. You will get the Go Fundraise program, and it will work automatically because the system has flagged that you own the Everyday Hero version. So no, it's there, and if we add others, again, you will get that. Every one of these import programs will be checking the same part of the system setup screen that I showed you, and as long as there's a yes in there, it says yes, you can run those programs. So yes, you'll get the Go Fundraise now.
Okay. I'm not sure if I quite understand this question. It's from Carol. She's just asking if about our previous peer-to-peer webcast. So maybe she means the Everyday Hero overview we gave a while back. But if so, that is still on our website as well, if she wanted to go back and have a look at that.
It is. I mean, I've done this webinar deliberately to basically supersede that, and eventually when this is up, we'll probably remove that because it didn't cover the campaign swap file and it didn't cover Go Fundraise, and because we've made this a more general module, I preferred to have something out there that would actually cover both platforms.
Mm-hmm. Carol, I can send you the link to that afterwards as well, if you'd like. Question from Georgia asking, can you use soft credit?
Yes, both programs create a soft credit. When you do if you import the fundraiser, obviously you have to say yes to the program, import the fundraiser. Remember let me go into the program again. Of course, I've already done this, so I won't run it again. Otherwise, I'll have lots of duplicates. When it says, do you want to import the fundraisers as well as donors, the very first question it says is, what is the relationship between a donor and a fundraiser? So it not only creates the relationship link, but it creates a soft credit automatically, so that when you go to the fundraisers record, you will see a soft credit to the donor, to all the donors that have given money via this program.
Somebody was just, David's just wanting clarification on what soft credits are.
Okay, let me explain soft credits. When we go to a donor's record, we can look at, there's a dollar sign. The dollar sign gives me the history of all the donations they've ever given. Sometimes I don't know if this is soft credit, but I'll find someone who's got one. No, never mind. Anyway, so we have every donation they've ever given. There are situations where somebody feels that they ought to in some way be acknowledged, or we feel that in some way they're responsible for that money. Now the problem is that if two people are responsible, you can't enter the donation against them both, because if that money was against two people, it would be a double up. And in fact, you know, we've had a donation of $50, we can't put it through twice. But let me give you some examples of where soft credits are applicable. In private school, sort of school fundraising and university fundraising, sometimes there is a perception that if the husband is given, the wife also, in some sense, is given. So you might want to soft credit the wife. Another real, probably even better example is where you do payroll fundraising. So you've got a company that says, look, we want to help you. What we're going to do is we're going to encourage our employees to give, and we'll organise a payroll deduction so that they can nominate 10% or 2%, or wouldn't be 10% probably, you know, some amount of money, $10 a pay to go to the charity. Now, in that situation, the receipting must go to the person who's made the donation, which you'd probably do as an end-of-year receipt. But John Smith's given $10, who's the worker. However, you still consider that that company, which let's say it's BHP, is responsible for that in some way. So what we might do is put the donation against John Smith, but soft credit the $10 against the company. So when we look at the company record, we'll see a soft credit tab. Now I will just endeavour to find a soft credit. Like, it's probably an easy way of doing this. Aha, soft credit. Okay, so where somebody has a soft credit, you still see all their donations in name, as I do there. When I click on soft credit, it tells me who it was from. It was from donor 98, the date that it came through, the amount, the campaign, the ledger, receipt, method, entry date. Now, all that is that in the actual donation record, there is an entry for, in the donation, saying soft credit to 28, Yoko Ono. So it's not really a donation. Yoko Ono does not have a donation there, but it's a way of reading that donation to see who is actually also credited with it, so that when I go to the company record with the payroll deductions, I will see a little record for all of the donors from that factory that have given, but they are all soft credits. They are soft as in they're not real. They're just a way of seeing them in a tab without actually having a real donation there. But it's possible to report on them. Now, you can also do soft credits. In order for a soft credit to be entered at donation processing time, you must have created a relationship between the donor and the person you're soft crediting to. So if you've got a relationship between the donor and his wife, with a husband to wife, then you have the option of doing a soft credit. If you don't have that, then you can't do it, or you need to create it at the time. So for the case of a company with payroll, the relationship might be employee-employer, and that means that you don't have thousands of relationships to wade through. When you're soft crediting someone, you want to say who you want to soft credit it to. It only gives you the people that person is related to. And so you can just go to that tab and see them. But if you use Reporter, one of the things you can do, and let me show you, if we go to Reports, Visual Reporter, and I select on the donation file, it's the same file, and I'll do it in soft credit order, and my criteria is going to be soft credit not equal to 0. And I'll have the donor number, the amount, the campaign code, donation date, soft credit. And now I have a group of donations, and we can see they have all been soft credited to someone, to donor 3, donor 4, to donor 4, donor 4. Now I could have done that before, and that would have given me a clue as to which donor to look at to see if they had soft credits. But I can see there are 3 donations for donor 4. So if I was to go back into my donor record now,
So Andrew, Jenny's just asking, so the soft credit isn't included in the total company donations, so you have to add the two together to get the total?
No, it's already included. That's why it's soft credit. You see, the soft credit here that this person has, those 3 donations I showed you were actually donations for someone else. They're shown here under the soft credit tab, but they are not donations for this person. They are donations for the person the soft credit was from, which in this case was donor 1. Donor 1 has the full donation, the $1,350, but they do not show against this donor because this donor 4 did not make those donations. They're simply, it's a way of viewing, if you like, a soft credit is a way of viewing donations via another donor who's linked to them. But they don't exist. The donations are where they were, where they're credited to the original donor. There's no adding up needed because the full donation amount is in the original donation. That's why it's a soft credit.
Okay, Andrew, just one more question. I'm not sure if this is something you might have to follow up offline, but Lynn was asking in reference to Everyday Hero, is it possible to generate a Donman compatible report based on campaign type only? She's saying it seems the only option is by date range, and this makes it difficult to allocate extra codes to donors of certain campaigns.
It's too complex for me to handle in this webinar. I mean, I think that's more of a support call, or if it's a programming issue, talk to me privately, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
I don't really understand the question. I think it's just too complex to go through with everybody else listening.
Yep. No worries.
I'm really happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll just explain. Every question that comes through, we have it logged, so we can follow up offline with Lynn on that one. So thank you. That's all the questions we've got, Andrew. So we might leave it there for today. Nice quick session for everyone. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you Andrew for that overview. Our next webcast, pop it in the diary, is for Wednesday the 22nd of May at 2 o'clock, and that will be Eastern Standard Time, so Melbourne, Sydney time. Details of the topic for that will be coming shortly in your inbox in the next week or two. You'll also, as we mentioned earlier, find recordings of all our webcasts on the website under the What's New navigation area. So thank you again for joining us. If you do have further questions, please contact us on info@donman.net.au, or do give us a call. And as Andrew mentioned earlier, if you are interested in purchasing this module, you can give Val Turner in our office a call, or send her an email at vturner@advsol.com. Okay, that concludes our webcast for today. Thank you again for joining us. See you later. Goodbye.